Hey, members of the Inner Core, Pastor Adriel here, and I just want to give you a brief word of encouragement from the Scriptures, and also just say thank you once again for your encouragement to us, for your support, for your prayers. You don't know how much it means. We're so grateful to continue to be able to get the word of the gospel out to people who desperately need to hear it. And I want to share something I've been thinking about lately. I just started preaching through the book of Genesis chapter 1, just the first couple verses there. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Kind of an enigmatic few verses there, mysterious few verses there. You know, the earth was without form and void. Those Hebrew words that are translated there have been actually translated a number of ways: chaotic, uninhabitable, that kind of a thing. And actually, a lot of people don't know this, but many scholars, and I believe this as well, believe that the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Old Testament, were given to the Hebrews as they were coming through the wilderness, getting ready to enter into the land of Canaan. So if you can imagine the Hebrew people, after having gone through the wilderness of sin, if you will, now getting ready to enter into Canaan, the promised land, how they would have received these words, how they would have heard them. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. If you think of the imagery here being that of a chaotic wilderness, an uninhabitable wilderness that God is speaking his life and light into, this would have been really comforting for the people coming out of the wilderness into Canaan. It would have been a sign for them that God was over the wilderness of sin, that God is not a God who's subject to suffering, to chaos, to those kinds of things. Actually, here, the Spirit of God is hovering over the face of the waters. He's above it. It's really interesting. There are actually a couple of Hebrew words that are used in the first few verses of Genesis here that are also used by Moses in a song that he sang to the Israelites about their journeying through the wilderness and getting ready to enter into the promised land in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32. Speaking there about how God had redeemed his people, Moses said in 32:10, he found him in a desert land in the howling waste of the wilderness. It's the same Hebrew word that's used in Genesis 1:2, that wilderness, the howling waste. He encircled him, he cared for him, he kept him as the apple of his eye. Like an eagle that stirs up its nest, that flutters over its young. Same word that's used in Genesis 1:3, the Spirit of God hovering over the face of the waters, spreading out its wings, catching them, bringing them on its pinions. Moses is echoing the words of creation there. He's reminding the Hebrews getting ready to enter into the land of Canaan that God is the one who created them and cares for them, is hovering over them, watching them in the midst of the chaos that they feel like they had experienced. And one of the reasons I think this is encouraging is because it doesn't matter, what it is that we're going through, the chaos, the darkness, the void even that we might feel. It's that backdrop, that canvas, we might say, where God begins his creative work. In Genesis 1:1, speaking life, light, and order, creating from nothing everything that we see around us. And right now, your life might feel like a chaotic void, formless, uninhabitable. Well, God can work in those kinds of situations, and so often it's precisely those situations where he chooses to do his creative work, to put on display his glory and his power. It's what he did at the very beginning of creation. It's what he did throughout redemptive history with the people of Israel, and it's what he's doing today through his Son, Jesus, speaking life and light into our hearts through the gospel. In fact, that's what the Apostle Paul said in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 6. God, who said, "Let light shine out of the darkness," has shone in our hearts with the knowledge of Jesus Christ. Our hearts, if you will, They're like this uninhabitable wasteland apart from God and his grace. Formless and void, dark, dangerous. Jesus said, from the heart proceed all kinds of sin, evil thoughts, adultery, murder, theft. Well, God spoke the truth of his gospel to us, caused the light of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ to shine in our hearts, to bring beauty, life, and order, peace. And he's still doing that today. And so we praise God for that. So wonderful to see how the scriptures sort of come together in these beautiful ways, really for the comfort of God's people. And I pray that you've been comforted today. Thank you again for your support, and may the Lord bless you.